3, 2, 1, 0.
What it do, backseat GMs of the internet? It is Friday, April 30th, the day after NFL Draft Night, and this is Elevated Takes. As Mr. Bob Dylan would say, the times, they are a-changin'. Last night really shook a lot of things up there in the NFL. I'm excited to see how this all plays out. RJ, how are you feeling after Draft Night? You feeling good?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited. The NFL got a lot more exciting last night. A lot of young quarterbacks, especially Trey Lance. We'll get into that later. How you doing, Shady?
Dude, I'm doing great. You know, I think the Lions picked. They're not my team. You know, they're not my team. The Lions, as I said before, the Lions aren't my team. But I think I like their pick. You know, I like the pick of a lot of people. And you know, it seems like the duds of the NFL really prove themselves to be the duds of the NFL. But we'll get into that a little later here. But other than that, you guys know how this shit works. All right, we got hot shit. We'll get into what's popping off in the world. What's making the most sense to talk about in the sports world today, tomorrow, the next day. We'll get into our elevated takes, the meat, the juicy steak. And then what else do we got, RJ? What else are we bringing the people every single week?
At the very end of the episode, we give you a nice little segment. You know, just something to wet your whistle and to get you through your long drive, okay? But I'll start off with the hot shit for today, okay?
Please do. What's hot? What's burning? What's burning, RJ?
I'll tell you what's burning. Last night is what was burning. The NFL draft. And let's just put it out there. Trevor Lawrence was drafted first overall.
Number 1.
Urban Meyer as his head coach. You know, it's interesting. I know Urban Meyer wasn't there. But with Justin Fields being an Ohio State guy, you would think Urban Meyer might lean that way. But Trevor Lawrence is just such, or at least shown as, or produced. I think produced is the best word. He's produced to be a once-in-a-generation quarterback. He is going to be the face of the NFL, according to all the media that's been put out about him. So, you know, this today really starts the new. I mean, Tom Brady doesn't have that many years left, and I say many years because
we'll see about that.
He'll probably be here for at least 2 more, which is insane for his age. Another day, another time. But, you know, what do you think about the draft?
No, I agree with you. I mean, you know, Trevor Lawrence has been he's basically been the number 1 prospect since we talked about it on the last podcast. Like since the dude was born, like since he came out the womb, it seems like Sunshine has been slinging 50-yard passes for touchdowns. I mean, you know, McShay's got him number 1. Kuiper's got him number 1. It wasn't surprising to see him go number 1.
No.
So, I mean, the whole shebang about Meyer not choosing his own OSU quarterback, is that really all that surprising? The dude, like, as it's no secret to anybody that college quarterbacks have never really had a whole lot of success coaching at the NFL level. I mean, look at Saban. He's the best college quarterback of all time, and he failed miserably at the Dolphins. So I think it was up to Meyer to make a decision like this that made the most sense. Do I necessarily agree with it? I don't know. We'll find out as we talk a little bit more about the draft on the podcast.
We will. And
I will say it does not surprise me. It certainly does not surprise me.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my second hot shit is just, you know, I'm just going to warn you. NFL draft was last night, okay? So, like, this is going to be an NFL-heavy podcast. It's just...
Oh, it's got to be.
It is what it is, okay? I mean, you're going to have to accept that. Antonio Brown has re-signed with...
Not resigned?
Not resigned. Re-signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, thus making them the first team in the era of the Super Bowl to win the Super Bowl and then bring back all 22 starters.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really that surprising. Like, once you start playing with the GOAT Tom Brady, I'm sure they got a little taste of that Golden City and wanted to continue to come back to it, baby. I will say that, RJ, hyphens are important. When you text me that Antonio Brown has resigned from football, I'm going to think that he retired. I was like, oh, my God, what are you talking about? Antonio Brown finally got to the back of the top of the mountain. Like, what is going on? But he has re-signed, so that's good news. And frankly, I'm good for him. He settled. don't get me wrong. I still think he's a piece of shit because there's a very good chance that he was sexually assaulting those women.
Not a great human.
Not a great human in any stretch of the imagination. But hopefully this has made him a better human. You know what I mean? Hopefully the understanding how much discipline it takes to be a great football player, him settling out of court with the woman who was just, put the allegations against him that we were just talking about, which had just happened a couple weeks ago, thank God. For his sake, her sake, everybody's sake that chapter is all wrapped up. I hope she got compensated for whatever happened to her because I'm sure it was horrible. It was traumatic, and I hope she got exactly what she needed out of that situation for her to feel empowered. But at the end of the day, if this life is about self-improvement and him coming back to the Buccaneers along with all those other players that you were just talking about, I think puts all of them in a good position moving forward, and that's what you want to see. You know what I mean? That's all you want to see.
And Brady's going to have, people assigned to Antonio Brown and we're just going to lock him down. I mean, he had Antonio Brown live with him so he could control him because he wanted
to Antonio
Brown.
He was assigned to him.
But that's enough about him. AB's great and all, but let's move on. What is your hot shit?
So I'm going to go from the wide receiver of the greatest quarterback of all time to another one of the best quarterbacks of all time, but a little bit different conversation here as Antonio Brown re-signs with his Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Aaron Rodgers, as reported by ESPN, I believe it was, who was it? Was it who reported
Shefty.
that? Yeah, well, I think it was Adam Schefter who reported that. Number 12 wants out. Number 12 doesn't want to be a cheesehead anymore. He's had enough of Green Bay. He wants to get on moving to a team who can actually build around him with an owner who actually gives a shit.
Green Bay?
How crazy is that? But I don't know. What do you think about that? I'm not that surprised, right? Can't be that surprised.
So the reason I'm not surprised is because the team has just been smacking him in the face the past year. How are you going to draft his replacement in Love?
Jordan Love.
And then Jordan Love, did he play a single snap?
No, I think
I don't recall him playing a snap. And if he did play a snap, it wasn't important enough for me to even remember that. And I watched just about every game. So, I'd be pissed. And you're not going to draft me a wide receiver. You're going to give me no weapons, but still expecting to take you to the championship game?
Yep.
Come on, man. I'm not doing this for free.
100%. Well, I mean, and don't get me wrong. Even with the weapons that they cannot build around him, it's not like he's doing that shit for free, right? I mean, I'm sure he's probably making around $40 million a year, just probably south of that. I completely agree.
You get so rich to a point where you just want to win.
Exactly, and that's what I think he was even on. McAfee's podcast or McAfee's show not too long ago talking about that. No, it's about the love of the game. You know what I mean? It's about competitiveness. It's about trying to do something that no one else has done. And I completely agree with him. If Aaron Rodgers has had a Belichick or it had a Pete Carroll or it had a coach other than McCarthy and then a rookie who's trying to get his feet wet, the dude would have 3 to 4 Super Bowls. There's not a doubt in my mind. He's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen with my eyeballs. I don't know about you, but he definitely is. But anyway, outside of Aaron Rodgers, can't wait to see how that all plays out in the NFL. It's going to be a spicy season this year, that's for sure.
Yep.
Second hot shit I'm bringing you. We're going to pivot a little bit here before we get back on the NFL train because draft night, ladies and gentlemen, you got to be ready for it. You got to be ready for the pigskin coming at your face because it'll be coming at your face all night long. But getting off it for a minute, let's pivot over to hockey. The hot shit that I got to bring you numero dos tonight is that Ryan Miller, Anaheim Ducks starting goaltender, arguably the greatest American-born goaltender who has ever existed, decided to retire. And it's a sad day for the Ducks. Got to put the skates in the locker. I wish him the best, but the dude is one of the greatest goalies I've ever seen. I mean, I'm a Patrick Waugh guy who is a Canadian. Don't get me wrong. I think he's probably the best goalie of all time. And I'm a Detroit Red. I'm a Red Wings fan, so I've seen Hasek. I've seen Osgood. I've seen all these guys through the. I'm telling you, Waugh was the best, but Ryan Miller was a hell of a keeper. That dude had a glove like you've never seen. He ends up retiring as the Buffalo Sabres franchise goaltender game leader. He ends up retiring as the goaltender minute leader for the Sabres. And the most impressive things are the records he holds in the NHL as he ties up those skates. Least saves required in a win 0. He didn't have to have one save against on January 25th, 2008, 2 years ago. He has the most shootout wins by a goaltender in a season, which is 10. So the dude was money when it was just goaltender against skater, which is incredibly impressive for any goaltender. And then he has the most wins by any U.S. goaltender of all time, which, like I said, that tells to me you're the most impressive American-born goaltender of all time. What do you think?
He's great, and I believe he's a Michigan State Spartan, so
he is absolutely Michigan State Spartan.
He holds a place in my heart.
Yep.
He's been a staple of the NHL, and the thing that I like about him is he's not flashy.
Nope.
And he's never been a huge, look at me. Because goaltenders, you don't get a chance. Doesn't happen very often. But some goaltenders are. And I feel like it's a detrimental to their team. Where he was able to contribute without being the star, even though he was the star. That's what I like about him. Solid player, stand-up guy. You can't say anything bad about him. Nothing but good words, and he's going to make it. I think he'll be a first ballot.
Oh, I mean, I certainly hope so. 387 was the win count that he had, most American wins. 387. Very impressive. No, I agree with you. Flashy goaltenders like RJ was just talking about, not my thing. I think Marc-Andre Fleury was one of those goaltenders until he went to the Knights. He finally settled down a little bit, wasn't as flashy. I think Lundqvist, the Rangers goaltender, when he was like the best goaltender in the league for a while, got a little flashy, kind of petered out a little bit.
Those were the two I was thinking of.
Exactly. So Ryan Miller, fantastic. Cheers, buddy. Great career. Thanks for bringing us a lot of good ice time. Enjoy retirement, my friend. But I think it's about time for some elevated takes, RJ. What do you think about that?
I'll be honest with you, man. I'm a little nervous about this one, but I think I'm just gonna let it fly. Am I good to go first?
Oh man, you are so good to go first. You ready? All right,
yes,
get prepped.
I think I'm ready.
All right, well, your time starts now.
All right, well, I'll just be honest with you. I don't know how this time's going to work. I could finish up in a minute, or it could take the whole time limit, but I think the NFL draft, in the way all drafts are, is just wrong. These kids go out and play for schools for free. They don't get paid any money, just so they get a shot at making it in the pros. Then, once they get past that grueling college classes, travel, all that, then they're meticulously analyzed. Their body fat, how high they can jump, how big their fingers are, how wide their shoulders are, how big their feet are, how far can you throw the ball, how fast can you run, how fast can you run backwards, how fast can you run sideways. There is nothing you do. What do you say? There's nothing they do that is not underneath the spotlight and judged. Then they have to go in front of roughly 30 different GMs, pick a team representative and be asked questions, not only about, their football mind and what they know about that sport, but, okay, when you were in 5th grade, what do you think you want to be? Okay, when your elementary school says you were suspended for writing on a slide, tell us about what made you make that decision. Completely analyze everything. They get in your brain. They ask you about your friends. Then you're going to do all that to me. Then I have to sit on the couch and find out what I have to do with my future that I just worked so hard for. Like, you're already, by asking me these questions, by having me here, you're already saying that I am a 1%er when it comes to athletic ability. Unless you're a kicker, then you're just got a great leg. But, that's what we're looking at. And it's just crazy to think that at any minute that phone could ring, and guess what? You're living in Buffalo for your next 4 years. Oh, after your second year, you're not so great? Hey, man, usually you're just out of a job. And let's say in that GM meeting, you ask me something that really offends me. And then you go out in the media and say, yeah, we're not drafting him. He has character problems. Well, you were just lying. But you slander me, and now I have to work for you? And you want everything out of me? And people gave such a bad rap to Eli for not wanting to go to the Chargers. Well, it's his life. Like, I just don't think these players are treated as pawns. And I think the day will come where we rework the system. Hand up. I don't have the answer. I don't. I just don't think it's right. And if I was in their position, I wouldn't be happy about it. But
10.
If I was in their position, I'd also be pretty excited about the millions I'd make. So there is that part to consider too. It's just, it's the rest of their lives, and
5,
you like to
4,
think you control your own destiny, but they don't.
2, 1. So that's very true, and I think it actually goes very. It kind of complements what I was talking about last week in the idea that, like, hey, the NCAA owns these kids. They don't make any money.
Mm-hmm.
They can't actually take themselves and build something from that because they're owned 100%. You know what I mean? Like, nobody is giving them a dime other than a scholarship, which doesn't even touch the amount of money that they would be making otherwise.
Yeah.
But the root of that argument is also why I disagree with you. Like, if they were making a regular salary like we all do, like I make a fine salary, you make a fine salary, but you get to choose where you go to make that fine salary. They're making a gratuitous salary. Those guys are on the moon, especially the guys you're talking about. So I do want to contradict a couple things that you're saying here, okay?
Okay,
Like you
I'm
say,
ready for it.
Okay, so the test you were talking about, okay, let's find out how smart you are as a dude. That's called the Wonderlic test. I actually know a lot of employers who make their employees, as they're applying, take the Wonderlic test. My experience is in the telecommunications world, Dish Network. I know Dish is making people take the Wonderlic test before they get assigned. So, okay, let's take that out of it because that is like more real-world experience. Wonderlic is just telling me what's your capacity to learn when you're supposed to learn it. That's really what it's about. Now, I will tell you where it comes down to where it's like, hey, I'm looking at your hand size. I'm looking at how much you can bench press, how much you can squat, how high you can jump. Let me tell you some of the people who have missed the combine, chosen not to even go to that. I don't even want you to tell me what I'm really at when I need to perform. Doug Baldwin, Malcolm Butler, Julian Edelman, Antonio motherfucking Gates, one of the best tight ends of all time, Steven Gostkowski, Tyreek Hill. I can go on and on. So it's not like the guys who...
Some good players.
Some great players. So it's not like the guys who need to show up necessarily even do. It's the guys who need to show something else. Haven't been able to show on tape because I was a third-string wide receiver, because I didn't come into my own until, my fourth year in college, because I finally shot up 6 inches, was able to increase my bench press, and now I can actually push some motherfuckers around on the line. Like, I can compete in the NFL level when I couldn't my first 3 years of college, so I need to show these scouts something a little different. So do I think that, like, and let's say the coronavirus is clearly making it worse, right? It's clearly making it worse that, like, I'm just sitting at home waiting for a call. I can't even be in this magical room that I've always dreamed of being in because of something that's out of everybody's control, so is what it is. But, like, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, man. It's like, what else? Like, you gave shit. You talk shit about LeBron James for player empowerment and the way that he trailblazed that in the NBA, and now you're vying for it at the NFL level, where it seems like the
That's
NFL.
Not so.
But that seems like what you're going for here, bro. That seems like where you're going.
I'm not talking about. So they sign a contract. Which I should have said, which was going to be my last point, my rebuttal, and I'll give you a quick little snippet at the end. My problem is with a team saying, okay, I own your rights. And a guy being like, well, no, I just don't want to play for you. Like, it doesn't matter why. If they want to say they don't want to play for you, they should be able to have some options. The team just owns your rights. So you could be amazing and not want to play for a team for whatever personal issues, and you can't do anything about it. You just have to sit at home. Like, you're done. Your career's over.
I actually think that's incredibly interesting. And so everybody knows, here, the way that we do elevated takes, I have no idea what RJ's elevated takes are before the podcast, and then we kind of just process it as we go and talk about it, like, once this is broken down. I actually think that's incredibly provocative. Like, and you were like, hey, man, like, I think it's fucked up, but I don't know the solution. I think I might know a solution. And I think what they should do is, okay, we're going to pay you this amount of money on a rookie contract. If you've made it clear that this is not the place that you want to be, then any team can pay that team for the contract that they were going to pay them, give them a player that both parties can agree upon and basically like isolate that pick so he doesn't even see the field. The dude can't even play. If he's like, fuck this music, I don't want to play in San Diego, like you said with Eli Manning, which, how can you talk, like if somebody doesn't want to play in Minnesota, why would you want them to live in Minnesota?
Exactly.
I completely agree with that. So, and maybe that's not the right way to do it, but there should be some contractual opt-out structure, just like there is in any contract. Just like there is in any contract, you can opt out if these certain conditions are met. And I think with rookie contracts, the NFL should start to talk about that. So, hey, RJ, you should be reaching out to Goodell. Goodell, hey, you found your guy right here. Mr. RJ.
Well, you know he's a listener.
Give him a call. Oh, I'm sure. He definitely listens to the podcast. You know
he's
what I mean?
Definitely a listener.
Roger Goodell's
No, I mean, at least you offered a solution. So kudos on that. I can't think of a good one or one that would be accepted worldwide. It's just a problem that I feel like the way the world, our sports world is going with the NCAA, this will be an issue in 10 to 20 years. It will be an issue.
Yeah. The more more individuals think that they should be having control of their future.
Of their own life.
Exactly, which it is. It really is. Like, and I think it's even compounded by shit like or it's probably the same owner, the Houston Texan owner, who was saying in a owners meeting not too long ago, like, well, we can't let the prisoners run the prison.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding? McNair, I think it was. I think one of the McNair dad was saying that shit. It's like, come on, like, because that's what it's starting to feel like, isn't it? It's starting to feel like, well, we drafted you, so now we own you. And that's got to stop.
Yeah.
So I'm on board with it. We got to find a solution, RJ. We got to find a solution.
Getting a little odd. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I got my point across. Shady, are you ready to pivot to whatever you got for us?
Oh, I sure am. And I got some more football jazz for you. Like we said, people, we're going to really bash you in the face with it tonight. It's the draft night.
Yep. All right. Your time starts now.
Now, I'm going to give you an elevated take today, RJ, that I don't think is necessarily insane, but it's something that I just don't think enough people talk about, and I want to bring to light because I'm passionate about it, bro. I want every GM, manager, and coach in the NFL to hear what I'm saying because it's important. And that is that wide receivers are the least valuable position on the football field from top to bottom. The first position on the depth chart of the wide receiver is less valuable than every other one position on the entire NFL draft chart or depth chart. And let me tell you why, okay? Here are the last 10 Super Bowl winners, number one wide receiver. And this is where they ranked that year in receiving. Mike Evans, 33rd in receiving. Tyreek Hill, 53rd in receiving. Julian Edelman, 28th in receiving. Nelson Aguilar, 37th in receiving. Edelman again at 4th in receiving. Emmanuel Sanders, 27th in receiving. Edelman, 8th in receiving. Doug Baldwin, 75th in receiving. Anquan Bolden, 32nd in receiving. And Mario Manningham, 102nd in receiving.
Goodness.
Of the last 10 receivers in the NFL who won a Super Bowl, only 2 of them were in the top 10 in receiving those seasons, and both were Julian Edelman, and he was being tossed golden eggs by the greatest of all time, Tom Brady. So, all right off the bat, I'm telling you that people who win Super Bowls, they don't ever have a top 20 receiver that year. Let's move on to the Super Bowl MVPs, because maybe they're just hot players. Maybe they can just make plays when you need them to make plays. Of the last 20 Super Bowl MVPs, there were 13 quarterbacks, there were 3 defensive players, and there were 4 wide receivers. Okay, those are the 3 breakdowns. Yeah, defensive players only had 1 less than wide receivers, but hey, wide receivers were still on the list, right? Guess who won those MVPs? Julian Edelman, Holmes, Ward, and Branch. Okay? Holmes and Ward were both on the Pittsburgh Steelers when they won those MVPs, and Edelman and Branch were both on the Patriots. Edelman and Branch had Brady, and Holmes and Ward had Roethlisberger, 2 of the greatest cannons who anyone has ever seen in the NFL. So it takes a fantastic quarterback to give you a wide receiver to win an MVP. No wide receiver in the NFL has been top 20 other than Edelman in the past 10 years to actually win a Super Bowl. I'm telling you, even punting. The top 3 teams who have optimized punting, Kansas City, the New England Patriots, the Buffalo Bills. I'm going off the top here, and I'm pretty sure the Jets, but fuck the Jets. Their
10.
defense sucks. So literally from the punter to the kicker to the line on down
5.
is more important than the wide receiver. And RJ, I want to tell you why not. OBJ sucks.
Okay.
I didn't mean to kill OBJ on that at the end. I was going to go on to a few other wide receivers. Don't think I just call him out. But all those star wide receivers, all those diva wide receivers suck. Least valuable position. What do you think?
Here. This is what I'll do for you, okay? I'll continue your point for you, all right? Just a little bit, and then I'll take it back, but it's kind of hard to argue because the Detroit Lions had Calvin Johnson, an absolute stud at wide receiver, and they couldn't even win a playoff game, okay? Now, just like that speaks volumes. Then you had Julio Jones on Atlanta, and they still couldn't win the Super Bowl, who was the greatest at that time. So I completely understand what you're saying. I do want to say, though, that I think the running back might be even lower, because a high drafted running back, what is Ezekiel Elliott, who was drafted 4th overall, really done for the Cowboys? How many rings? I don't think Jerry has any more rings than he had about 20 years ago. Okay, so I think that's a valid point. And all these teams, like, didn't Rex Burkhead go off one Super Bowl? Like, any running back can be extremely valuable at the right time in the right role. The high drafted running back may be more overvalued than a high drafted wide receiver.
So here's where I disagree with you on that and why the wide receiver is less valuable than the running back. And that's because I do think that they're comparable, right? I do think that the running back and the wide receiver are comparable in the way that they contribute value to the team. However, a good quarterback can mitigate the effect of an average wide receiver better than a shit line can mitigate or a good line can mitigate the effect of a good running back. So, or a bad running back. So what I'm saying is if you have a shit running back, your offense is going to suck. Okay? Like a good example of that is like the James Connors, the Sony Michels. They had great lines, but were they horrible running backs? No. They weren't superstars, they weren't all-stars, but they weren't your garbage run-in-the-mill running backs who like fumble all the time or like can't get past the 5-yard line, average less than a yard a carry type shit. What I'm saying is a good wide receiver with a diva personality can bury you. Can absolutely bury you.
Oh, so, without a doubt.
Look at the Lions.
Ask the Raiders.
Yes, ask the Raiders exactly. Or look at the Lions and I think Charles Rodgers. Remember Charles Rodgers from MSU? Ended up going off the wall. They picked him. I want to say he was like the 8th pick in the draft that they chose him on. I can't say particularly, so I could be wrong. Sorry, fans, if you out there. But
close enough.
A diva wide receiver can bury you. Like I said, I called out OBJ at the last of my my filibuster, but it wasn't to call him out. I was gonna go off on a bunch of like Antonio Brown. Like I said, is a great example. He straight up got pushed out, and it's funny that you brought up Zeke in particular because Zeke was a diva running back. Bell from MSU and at Pittsburgh at the same time. Le'Veon,
a lot of MSU hate coming out
Bell.
of your mouth right now.
Yeah, I mean, because there's a lot of crazy people coming out of East Lansing, it feels like. And I think you just proved it. But Le'Veon Bell was a diva running back. But for every diva running back in the league, you've got 10 diva wide receivers. You've got 20 wide receivers in the league who are ruining your morale in the locker room. And it takes somebody great like a Tom Brady to mitigate that. It takes somebody like an Aaron Rodgers to get those diva wide receivers to get their shit together. And I think that having a diva amazing wide receiver is way more detrimental to you than having a diva running back. And that's why, to me, the wide receiver is the least valuable position in all of football.
Okay. Well, I agree. I agree with wide receiver. I think running back can make a case.
Fair enough.
I think where we can completely agree is that the quarterback is the most important position in all of sports.
100%. Quarterback number 1, middle linebacker number 2, Offensive and defensive line tied for number 3 for me. If you want to have that conversation, that's where I'm going. Okay, because you need your leader on offense, leader on defense, and then the line of scrimmage, baby. That's how you win football games. Leadership
through the
and
trenches.
The line of scrimmage, exactly.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a new segment today. And you want to introduce it?
Oh, no. It's just funny because, I think it's interesting that this new segment is really going to pop off compared to what we've been talking about before. I think this new segment is so relevant. It's so different from the other
really
football
change
shit
the
we've
tide.
been talking about. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Ooh, you know what we should do then? Oh, let's how about we talk more football stuff?
Oh, that's a great idea. Instead of pivoting away from football, let's talk about more football.
Perfect. Let's do that. And what are we going to call this? We're going to call this the Dream Draft, right?
The Dream Draft. I love that. Let's do it. Let's dance. Let's dance with the Dream Draft.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's how it's going to work. Shady's going to draft first. We're each going to draft 3 players from this draft class that went last night. 3 players who we'd like to form our team. So if we, it just so happened that Shady had the first pick, the 3rd pick, and the 5th pick, and I had the 2nd pick, 4th pick, and 6th pick.
Exactly.
How we would shape our team.
RJ won the chip last year, and I got priority, baby, so I'm going to kick the shit out of him.
There we go. Go ahead. I'll let you start it off. Dun, 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 dun.
All right, Dream Draft. Pick number 1. The pick is in. And that pick is Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State, coming in at number 1.
I thought I was going to get
Not
him.
today, son. Trevor Lawrence. Hey, like I called him Sunshine. Man, nah, that's all he is. He's just a face. He's just a face. I really what did it for me where Trevor Lawrence was no longer my quarterback was the game against LSU. When Burrow was just able to outduel him and Trevor Lawrence has been the number 1 pick his entire life. It just wasn't enough for me, man. At the highest competitive level, I got to see what you got. This is Trevor Lawrence to me was very similar to Manti Te'o out of Notre Dame back when he was the middle linebacker down there.
Okay.
He got showed up by Alabama in the title game. Dude, Burrow showed up Trevor Lawrence in that title game last year, and I can't get past it. So Trey Lance, the 49ers, and Shanahan told me that he was the smartest guy in the draft, so I'm going to believe him. I think Shanahan's a smart guy. He is the one I'm going with.
So the reason I really like Trey Lance is because I'm obviously a Buffalo Bills fan, and if anyone in this draft class is going to be anything like Josh Allen or Josh Allen's game type, it's going to be Trey Lance.
Yep.
And the Buffalo Bills offense is so fun to watch, and when you have a scrambling quarterback like that, and you have Deebo Samuelson, like the 49ers fit Trey Lance perfectly. They could not have made a better pick. So I understand. I love your pick. I'm up again. You've kind of made it easy for me by taking my best guy. So I'm going to take Kyle Pitts. Tight end.
Start with the TE. Very interesting.
The dude is a monster.
Yeah.
He's basically...
He is.
He's going to be the best tight end in the league in 5 years.
We'll see.
It's going to happen.
There's some good tight ends in the league right now, man.
Oh, there are. But Kittle, I believe he's 28, and he's on his 2nd or 3rd contract. He's on in 5 years. He's gonna be an old man. Kelsey, I believe, is 31. He's getting a little elderly too. Actually, I think he might be 29.
Yeah,
whatever. He's past 25. So I'm going with Pitts. He's gonna be in his prime in 5 years. He's gonna be the main pass catcher on his team. That's where I got him. And I think having your tight end being absolute. I mean, look what they did with Gronk. Look at the Chiefs. Look at the tight ends I just mentioned. They are such a great weapon for their teams that they can focus money in other draft picks, other places. It gives you a great foundation.
Yeah, so I do love a pick of a tight end. Don't get me wrong. I love the Hawkinson pick that Lions took last year from the tight end from Iowa. I will tell you that Florida has a really bad reputation for putting tight ends in the NFL. Like, we'll see.
Whoa, one guy.
Well, yeah, but that one guy went pretty catastrophic, right? Okay.
A little bit.
Gainesville is what it is.
Let's talk about this real quick because, like, I know we're going to brush it on the radar, but did you see this should have been in hot shit, but did you see that Tim Tebow did a tight end workout with the Jaguars for Urban Meyer?
No, I didn't. Really? Did he really?
So
Tebow
he
played
really
under
did.
Urban Meyer at Florida, for what it's worth. Those
Correct.
listeners who don't know that, yeah.
You're talking
think
about
he's coming
Florida
back?
tight ends. Florida tight ends. You might have another Florida tight end right there.
Yeah, we'll see. But no,
right,
I don't hate the pick. I think, like I said, I'm a fan of a tight end pick. I don't know the tight. I don't think he's going to be the best tight end in that amount of time. Like you have to understand too. Like if you want to talk about aging, like you know who's aging? Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's aging. Yeah. So
he won't be the quarterback.
All those tight ends that you were talking about who are money also have fantastic quarterbacks who can throw them the ball when they need it. Where I think Matty Ice is getting to the point where he's not going to be able to sling it like he used to. I think that ice is starting to slow him down a little bit, starting to be a little rigid there. And I think Tom Brady kind of ended his career when he came back 24-3 in that Super Bowl a few years back.
Yes, definitely.
So if they can draft another quarterback, maybe he will be successful. But other than that, I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll see. Who do you got second?
Number 2.
That was a good one.
Thank you. Pick number 2, coming at you, Shady Squad, Penn Sewell, offensive tackle, Oregon.
Ooh, see, I was wondering if you're going to do offensive tackle or not.
We were just talking about it. We were just talking about it. If I'm going to have Trey Lance, he's going to have to blitz. I'm going to need an athletic tackle, and that tackle is the guy who I would pick. He's got quick feet. Yeah, he's got short arms for somebody at his level, but he's the best offensive lineman in this class. Like I said, I love that the Lions took him where they took him. I think he's going to be a huge part of whatever they're trying to do moving forward. And I want him on my squad. I want him protecting my quarterback. I want him to be able to let our offense roll, and I think Sewell is a great pick for that. What do you think?
I can't really say much about it because, yeah, he's going to protect your quarterback. That's his job, and, hell, he looked really good at it at Oregon. So, the Lions got a good guy there.
A good, great
who's really
guy.
going to help them. Yeah, good, great guy, honestly. If you met a good guy, you'd be like, man, that's a good guy. Now you met this guy, you'd be like, that's a good, great guy. But it really helps the Lions with the rebuild. Like you said earlier, building the trenches is how you're going to win.
Absolutely.
Jared Goff will look better with a great
100%
offensive lineman. And then Swift. Whew. Man, imagine him running behind him. That's going to be great.
If he can stay healthy, yeah, it's going to be. I'm more excited to see how Johnson can split between them.
Yeah,
but
we'll see.
We'll see how that offense comes along under Campbell.
My next pick is going to be very brief. Not much to talk about. I'm just going to take Trevor Lawrence. I have to have a quarterback, and he's supposed to be
Sunshine's a great
the bee's
pick.
knees.
Sunshine's a great pick, yeah.
So I'll just throw it right back to you because we've talked about him already. There's not much left to be said.
Yeah, not a whole lot of drama on RJ's pick there, just like there wasn't a whole lot of drama when the Jags took him number 1,
Yep.
So coming in number 3, I don't even know if he actually ended up making it off the board last night because he slid so far down. But I'm going number 3, Shady Squad, Jeremiah Owusu Caramoa, middle linebacker, Penn State. He, to me, was the best linebacker of the class. I watch a lot of Big Ten football for obvious reasons. He's athletic. He's big. He's got better hands than a lot of the people who I've seen in this draft class, which I think is pretty critical from a middle linebacker. And like we were just saying in the last segment through our elevated takes, that position is so important because of leadership. Football in particular is a sport that you need leaders. It's such an emotional game. And it's not as fast paced as most other professional sports, like the NBA, the MLB, or the MLB is the slowest of them all. That was a terrible example. But hockey, any sport where it's just adrenaline, it really comes down to your leadership. It's like, can you keep us up when shit goes awry? And I think Jeremiah, what I've seen from him at Penn State, I think he can bring the thunder, and that's who I want on the defensive side of the ball. So I've got an offensive tackle to protect my quarterback. I've got a fast quarterback who can outrun everything. And then my third pick, middle linebacker, bring in the defense. Show me what you got. What do you think?
You got a pretty good lineup there. You got actual thought behind it. And I hate defensive picks. I was not going to go defense in this draft, so
okay.
I'm not going to do it either.
Yeah, so I'm going to stop you all day. You can just lose then.
No, you're going to try.
Our 3v3.
You're going to try.
Fair enough.
You are going to try. Well, I mean, your offensive lineman. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to draft a defensive guy. So now your offensive lineman is just a waste of space on our 3v3 game.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I'm pretty fucked.
So
right.
I'm going to draft, for my last pick, Waddle out of Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
wide receiver. Homeboy.
Yes. Wide receiver. Now, here's the problem with Waddle. He does have injury problems.
Yep.
My prayer
100%.
is if he stays healthy, the sky's the limit. He is so fast, and you watch him play, he has heart. He was injured that game, and Saban put him in, and the internet reacted. It was like, what are you doing? This guy has a career outside this game. This game's over. Like, this game's not worth it. Yeah. Don't do this to him. But he wanted to play so bad. Once I saw that, I'm like, this is a guy I want on my roster. And so now he's on my roster.
I'm sorry, Mr. RJ. But if my guy really wants to play, I love that. I do. I love it when a guy wants to get down in the trenches and play with all of his heart. But if he wants to go out there and play with all of that heart, and that heart is being supported by glass knees, I'm still not going to draft him, okay? I'm still not bringing him on my team, because I've seen that if you invest too much in a player that's made of stone, or that's made of nothing, like that's just a super feeble guy, you're not going to make it. That's why I think Stafford's such a great quarterback, is because even when he got injured, the dude could just make it on through.
Definitely.
Whenever I see a player who's been injured a lot in college, I always stay away from him. Am I saying that Waddle is not the best wide receiver prospect in the class? Sure, but you already heard my elevated take today, and I don't think a wide receiver is someone who you should be taking in the top 3 anyway.
So my thought process was, out of all the skilled positions, Kyle Pitts is obviously, I think he's the most surefire skilled position player minus quarterback in this draft.
Fair enough.
He seems like a home run.
And the tight end position has skyrocketed in value in the last probably 5 years. People are starting to realize how valuable the tight end is, particularly because the red zone's so fucking hard to score points in. You know what I mean? You need a tight end effectively in the red zone.
And these running backs in this class, they're good, but they're not going to be your Saquon Barkley. And even that, like I said, Ezekiel Elliott, he was great. I don't believe they are what will change your team. I believe with Kyle Pitts and Waddle, the tandem could be great. And out of all the wide receivers, he has a skill set that I believe would get the most out of Pitts, which is why I made that pick. And then Trevor Lawrence, you took Trey Lance, so I had what I had.
Yeah, man. Hey, I hear you. I don't hate your picks at all, but all I'm saying is once Owasu Caramoa knocks the shit out of your wide receiver, once he goes down and his knees explode, I'm gonna take that game all day long. So, is what
probably
it is.
Right about that.
Is what it is. But man, I think that's about it, RJ. What do you think about that? I think that's probably all we got to talk about tonight. A lot of football. Sorry about it, folks, but that's what you're here for, baby.
Well, there's a couple things I want to bring up real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to our website, elevatedtakes.com.
Absolutely.
And there's just so much NFL stuff. We covered a quarter of it.
Not even close. Yeah.
If you go to our website, we have a link there where you can submit your own article. So maybe you're a Miami Dolphins fan. Give us a write-up about the Miami Dolphins. Let us know what happened. Your thoughts on the draft. You can submit your article. You can also vote for Elevated Takes, and you can listen to the podcast. Check out the YouTube. Like and subscribe. Click the bell. Please, ladies and gentlemen, this is how we do this. Check out the website. Shady, you got anything for him?
Man, all I got to say tonight is like I always say, hey, shit kind of sucks. If you're struggling, if life has just got you down and you need somebody to talk to keep your head above water, go to the website like Arja just said. If you don't have an elevated take to tell us, like if you're not an Alabama fan and want to tell me why Waddle's the best pick in the draft and why his glass knees are going to harden to the point of diamonds, if you don't have an opinion like that, still feel free to come out. Reach out to us. We'd love to talk to anybody who just needs something to talk about. Like I said before, even if your opinion isn't elevated, it's still very important. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and listening to us. We appreciate it more than you know. Everybody have a good night.